Well, how's it going? This is Bob Kogut, and I'm going to show you my newest fiddle I just finished. She's a 5-string, and this is number 231, and her name is Dariella. And she's got an Engelmann spruce top, and she's got Western big leaf curly flamed maple back, sides, and neck. And I did a vintage finish on it. A little bit of shading here and there. Got ebony tuning pegs with the pearl inlays. Because it's a 5-string, I carved a longer peg box so it accommodates the 5 pegs and the 5 strings. Sometimes 5-string fiddles that are made with a normal sized 4-string violin peg box, everything's really cramped in there, and the 5th string has to go way up under the chin of the scroll, and sometimes you got to carve the pocket out a little bit more, and then it leaves it kind of a weak place for the future, so more susceptible to cracks under the scroll. So with the longer peg box, longer scroll, it's a standard length neck, but the peg box, the scroll itself is a little bit longer, as you can see. It still fits in most cases, most violin cases. Some cases it won't fit, but it's only a matter of 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 inch at the most, more. It's got an ebony fingerboard, and I fitted it with prim strings, and it's a prim viola short scale C string, and a Whitner 5-string tailpiece, composite tailpiece, and ebony Guarneri style chin rest. It has a matching end pin with the pearl inlay like the tuning pegs have, and the back is 1-piece maple, and I did the leaf carving on the corners. Some people have asked me, doesn't that change the sound? Well, the carvings on the corners are right above where the blocks are, the corner blocks. And so it doesn't change at all the resonance of the back or the vibration, because it's right where the blocks are. There's no extra carving or extra thickness or anything anywhere where the back plate resonates. So no, it doesn't hurt or doesn't change. Some people ask, what's that hole that you have here? Well, that is for a locator pin. It's an Italian method of violin making. There's actually one under the hanger for the chin rest too, but it's hidden by that. And the reason for that is when you go to glue the back plate to the rib assembly, with the hide glue on it, it skates all over the place, and it's hard to get it right. But with a locator pin, it holds it in place while I'm clamping it. Some makers put a dowel, a real tiny little dowel in there in the hole. But I don't, because I've repaired too many violins that have a crack, old violins that have a crack where the dowel was, because the wooden dowel sometimes acts differently with humidity and temperature seasoning change, and it tends to crack the wood. So I actually just leave a little hole in there. It's covered up somewhat by the varnish, but I pull the pin back out after I remove the clamps, and so it serves no purpose to be there, and it's safer just to leave it open. So that's why I do that. Some people fill it with ebony dust, but I think it's for me, it doesn't bother me. It's just fine to have it. So that's what that hole. There's actually a locator pin hole on the top under the fingerboard where the neck block is, and also under the chin rest clamps where the tail block is. And those are used to fix the top plate in its position before it's clamped. So that's the purpose of that. And so, yeah, I just strung her up yesterday, and I'm really happy with it. 5 strings are becoming more popular with people, with players. As you know, or you may know, it's a viola and a violin all in one instrument, with the C string and the low, and then the E string being the high. Serves both purposes. So it's nice to have that low growl, especially for swing, jazz playing, and also for backing up vocalists. So that gives it a viola sound. With 4-string violins, standard violins, the lowest string is this, it's G. But with a 5-string, you get down even a 5th lower. So that's cool. Even if with playing a 5-string, it does take a little bit of learning curve because the position of the strings on the bridge. The D string is right over the center of the bridge. And I tell people, if new to playing a 5-string, if you don't look at the strings, it's easier. If you look at it as an optical illusion and you forget where you were, you just go by feel. But it's a learning curve, and it usually only takes 3 or 4 days of practice to get natural with it, where you're used to it. I try to make the fingerboard at the nut a little wider to accommodate the spacing of the strings, so the strings aren't real squeezed and crunched there. With some 5 strings that are made, the fingerboard width is standard to a 4-string violin, and so as a result, the strings are much closer together to accommodate the 5th string, and so it's hard, especially with people with larger fingers like I have, wider fingertips, to find the strings. So it's about 25 millimeters wide, and typically, I've seen violins fingerboard widths to be maybe 21, 22 millimeters, and but that makes a huge difference in playability without making it so wide where, like, some large size violas are so wide it's hard to reach around to the bass strings. So it's a happy medium between the two, not having the strings squeezed in and having them having the fingerboard too wide. So a lot of players that play 5-string violins don't typically play that 5th string very much. They just use it for special effects. So, it's really a 4-string violin with an extra 5th string on it for when you need it. It's not played any differently than a regular 4-string violin, and some players hardly ever play that 5th string. They just play it just the 4 strings as normal. And but it's there when you need it, which is kind of nice. Also, adding the 5th string, this low C string, even when it's not being bowed or fingered, it adds a certain harmonic resonance to the instrument, like a Swedish hardanger fiddle, where they have drone strings, and you kind of hear it, but you don't hear the note. It just changes the resonance of the whole instrument. So even when you're not playing the 5th string, a 5-string violin has a different voicing than a 4-string, even when you're not playing it. because of that fifth string tension on the top and the bridge, and resonating even in the unplayed position. So anyway, it's a little bit about five-string fiddles. They're kind of neat to have. It's nice to have both. It's nice to have a four-string and a five-string violin, depending on what mood you're in when you're playing, and depending on what kind of music you're playing. So I think that's the popularity these days of having a five-string violin. Don't be intimidated by it if you're a player and you've been wondering if you should play a five-string violin. Like I say, it's really no different than your four-string violin. It just has another string as an option for you at the bottom of it to play when you want to. And if you don't want to play that fifth string, you don't have to. So anyway, I just noodle around on here just to give you a feeling of what she sounds like. So, yeah, it opens up a whole new range of playing. So anyway, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and this is my number 231, named Dariella. Okay, thanks again. Bye.